सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः। प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Namah Parvati Pataye, Har Har Mahadeva. Hari Om. We are studying Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is a very important text. It is one of the three Prasthantrayi. And there are 18 chapters in this Bhagavad Gita with 700 shlokas, a dialogue between Bhagavan Krishna and Arjuna. If we study this properly, understand Bhagavad Gita, then we don't require any other guidance to follow the path of dharma and ultimately to attain self-realization. The whole Bhagavad Gita is presented in the backdrop of Mahabharata. So the Mahabharata war was about to begin, and Arjuna seated in the chariot driven by Bhagavan Sri Krishna. He came in between placed the chariot in between the two armies, and Arjuna, seeing his own people there, got thoroughly confused regarding his duties and was filled with lot of sorrow, grief. So sorrow, that is shoka, and confusion, that is moha. And he told Bhagwan all the defects of fighting a war and destroying our own people. But he did not come to any conclusion. He just dropped his bow and arrow and told Bhagwan that I won't fight till you clear all my doubts. I am thoroughly confused regarding dharma. So please teach me what is Shreya. Yash Shreyasyan Nishchitam Bruhitan Me Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. Please accept me as your Shishya. I am surrendering to you. Please teach me what is Shreya, what is the ultimate good. So Bhagwan, before he commences his teaching, our Bhagwan Sri Shankaracharya ji has written a very beautiful commentary. In fact, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has written commentaries on 10 Upanishads, on this Bhagavad Gita, and on Brahma Sutra, the Prasthantrayi. So if we want to understand Vedanta, we can understand then Vedanta properly with the help of Bhagwan Sri Adi Shankaracharya ji's commentaries. So here the story which we read in the first chapter of Gita, how Arjuna came and got deluded. The whole thing is to indicate the very root of the very seed of this samsara. The seed of samsara is shoka and moha. Our moha and shoka makes us get more and more involved in all types of negative activities. When a person is filled with sorrow and a person is confused, he tends to drop his dharma and do some paradharma, by which he gets entangled in the mesh of karma and gets totally immersed in this samsara. So, in order to become free of this samsara, we have to become free of our shoka and moha. And this moha, this confusion, though it appears Arjuna had this confusion regarding his duties, but the confusion is also regarding the real nature of our own self. Who am I? Unless we are very clear about our own identity, we will not be clear about what we have to do. Just like if a stranger comes and asks you what he has to do, you will have to ask him, who are you? Similarly, if we have to know what we have to do, we should know who we are. What is our real identity? So Arjuna had this ignorance about his own self, about his own real identity, and also that led to his confusion regarding exact duties. What are our duties in this world? Why are we born? What we have to do in this world? That also becomes confusing if we don't know ourselves. So Bhagavan says, Shankaracharya ji writes, कि तयोः च सर्वकर्म संन्यास पूर्वकात् आत्मज्ञानात् न अन्यथो निवृत्तिः इति. That the nivritti, the total elimination of shoka and moha, grief and confusion, is possible only through atmajnana, by recognizing, realizing our own self. That's self-knowledge, not self-information, not data about our own self, not some theory about ourselves, not some concept about ourselves, but direct realization, direct experience of our own inner self as we are, knowing ourselves as we are. That is Atmajnana. And tad upadidikshuhu sarvaloka anugrahartham arjunam nimitte kritya aha Bhagavan Vasudevah ashochan ityadi. So, taking this opportunity, taking Arjuna just as a nimitta, Bhagavan through Arjuna is teaching all of us Atmajnana, self-knowledge through this Bhagavad Gita. Because only through self-knowledge we will be able to become free of all our bondage. But there are some people who think that this self-knowledge should be accompanied by action. So one has got confusion regarding the role of action. Some people feel that action and this self-knowledge should go together. But Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, he clearly mentions that no, the path of karma is different and path of knowledge is different. Path of karma helps us to purify our mind, to prepare us for knowledge, but the path of knowledge, that jnana and jnana nishtha, is totally different. It's a different path. So only by gaining jnana nishtha we will be able to become free of our samsara. Just jnana will not help. Jnana we can gain through Shravan Manan, but that jnana nishtha is possible through nididhyasan, through dhyana. And it is a different path. So for nididhyasan, one has to drop all karma and just focus attention on meditation. So these twofold paths are mentioned, as I said, in the Vedas also, and they are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. So here, these twofold paths are also twofold nishtha, abidance. One is called Sankhya Nishtha or Sankhya Buddhi and Yoga Buddhi. So Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji, he writes in the commentary that Bhagwan first talks about Sankhya Buddhi. And what is this Sankhya Buddhi? He says, Ashochan ityadina bhagavata yavat swadharmam api chavekshaiti etad antena granthena yat paramartha atmatattva nirupanam krutam tat sankhyaam tad vishaya buddhihi atmano janmadi shad vikriya abhavat akarta atma iti prakaranartha nirupanat ya jayate sa sankhya buddhihi sa esham jnaninam uchita bhavati te sankhyaha. Bhagwan in the beginning, right from the 11th shloka of this chapter, that is Ashochan Vashochastvam, and all the way to the verse number 31, Swadharmam api chaveksha, Bhagwan talks about Sankhya, that is, he talks about self-knowledge. One has to understand this self and realize this self. And what is this self? He says, Atmanaha janmadi shad vikriya abhavat, that Atma is free from all vikriyas, free from all modification, free from all changes. There are no vikar in Atma like Janma. There is no birth, growing up, decaying, dying, happening in Atma. Atma doesn't undergo any of these modifications. Hence, Atma, the pure Atma, is not a doer also, it is a karta. So when we listen to the nature of Atma from our teacher, from the scriptures, when we contemplate on this, and when we focus our attention on ourself and gain that abidance and complete what you call conviction about our own self, that I am the akarta Atma, that is called Sankhya Buddhi. And this Sankhya Buddhi Nishtha itself gives us freedom. So Bhagwan talks about this highest knowledge and highest abidance in the self-knowledge in the beginning of this second chapter itself. But this Sankhya Buddhi is not possible for everyone. So in order to prepare ourselves to reach this state of self-knowledge, we have to take the help of karma. At present, due to our ignorance, we are identified with our body, we are identified with our senses and our mind, and we have this sense of doership. So taking that sense of doership and sense of enjoyership which we have, and this identification which we have, Bhagwan also guides us on what is the right type of actions we should perform. And that knowledge of right action and abidance in the right type of action is called Yoga Buddhi. And here Shankaracharya ji writes about Yoga Buddhi, ki etasya buddhehe janmanaha prag, before that jnana nishtha, before Sankhya Buddhi arises in us, we have ignorance about ourselves. Atmanaha dehadi vyatiriktaha, though we consider Atma as different from this physical body, because those who believe in the scriptures, those who believe in dharma and adharma, they also believe that Atma is different from the physical body. They believe that when we die, we just leave the body aside, but we continue with our journey, taking our sukshma sharir with us. So those who follow the path of dharma, they are not totally Nastic, but they believe that Atma is different from the physical body, but they don't have the self-knowledge. So they understand Atma as having the sense of doership and enjoyership. So dehade vyatiriktatva kartutva bhoktruttvadi apeksho dharma dharma viveka purvakaha. Therefore one should understand what is dharma, what is adharma, and accordingly we should follow the path of dharma. See, just as yesterday also I said, that our body, our mind, our senses are like instruments. Just like we use our mobile. A mobile is an instrument which I am using. So if I want to connect to some person, I use this instrument, I dial the number, and I can talk to that person. So in the mobile, we have the structure, the outer structure, the mobile from whatever company, iPhone or whatever, Samsung and all. Then inside we have the software which makes the functioning of the mobile possible. And very important, we have the batteries which gives energy to that mobile. And we have the chip, the SIM card, which contains our number and which contains all the information about our incoming and outgoing calls and other data are there. So the outer structure of the mobile is like our gross physical body. The inner structure, the battery and the SIM card and the software which is there in the mobile is like the Sukshma Sharir. Like our senses, like our Mana Buddhi Chitta Hankar. So they are like the Sukshma Sharir. But what is Atma? Atma is I who am using that mobile. So if I have to talk to you, I have to use the mobile, I pick up the mobile and speak to you. But if I have to just communicate with myself, if I just want to shift my attention from everything and be aware of myself, then I have to just keep the mobile aside. Mobile is not useful for me. Similarly, if I have to interact with the world, I have to perform karma using my body, my mind, my intellect. But if I have to gain abidance in myself, I have to drop all these instruments, including the mind, intellect, and gain that abidance. So before gaining that abidance in ourselves, with the help of our intellect only, we have to gain the knowledge of the nature of ourself. And that helps us to meditate, to transcend our body and mind. So that is Sankhya Buddhi, but Yoga Buddhi assumes that we are still ignorant and we are identified with the body, mind, intellect. So Bhagavan says that you understand what is dharma and adharma, and with the help of that knowledge you perform your action. So that understanding of dharma, adharma, and that firm abidance in our duty and following the path sincerely, that is the Yoga Buddhi. So Bhagavan talks about Yoga Buddhi after verse number 31 of this chapter. Bhagavan talks about Yoga Buddhi also. So this twofold buddhis or twofold knowledge is given to Arjuna and through Arjuna to all of us. So we have to know how to do action, we have to know how to do, and we have to know how to be. So knowledge of doing and knowledge of being. So knowledge of doing is called Yoga Buddhi and knowledge of being is Sankhya Buddhi. So ultimately just by being, gaining that Sankhya Buddhi and Sankhya Nishtha, Jnana Nishtha, we will become free of all our bondage. So thus Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes कि एवं सांख्य बुद्धिम योग बुद्धिंच आश्रित्य द्वे निष्ठे विभक्ते भगवता एव उक्ते ज्ञान कर्मणोः कर्तृत्व अकर्तृत्व एकत्व अनेकत्व बुद्ध्या आश्रयोः एक पुरुषाश्रयत्व असंभवम पश्यता. Therefore here in Gita Bhagavan has clearly mentioned this twofold path. So one path of karma is the initial path, initial step which everyone has to take. And then the final is the path of meditation, path of jnana nishtha. And this clearly Bhagavan explains to Arjuna in the second chapter, but Arjuna could not comprehend this properly. Therefore he asked a question in the third chapter. In the third chapter, Arjuna, because of his misunderstanding, he asked the question that if both this, if jnana is better, if finally we can gain freedom from knowledge, then hey Krishna, why are you making me act? Why are you propelling me into this terrible war? जायसे चेत कर्मणस्ते मता बुद्धिम जनार्दन तत्किम कर्मणि घोरे माम नियोजयसि केशव. Then to make things clear to Arjuna, in the third chapter Bhagavan again tells him that, oh Arjuna, I talked about this twofold path. Because these are the paths which are mentioned in the Vedas, and same thing I am talking about in Bhagavad Gita also. Bhagavan tells him that lokesmin dvividha nishtha pura prokta maya nagha jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. That I have told in the beginning in the Vedas, and also here in the second chapter Bhagavan says that there are two paths. Jnana yogena sankhyanam, for the sankhyas, for those who are highly evolved, those who have purified their minds, those who have gained enough vairagya, for them the jnana marga, that is jnana nishtha, that is after gaining self-knowledge through Shravan Manan, the path of meditation, path of withdrawal, nivritti marga also it is called, path of withdrawal, path of transcending this world, path of transcending our body, mind, intellect. But if we have not reached there, then we have the path of karma. So for all of us in general, Bhagavan talks about the path of karma. And Bhagavan tells Arjuna also that just by dropping karma, you will not gain enlightenment. Just by taking sannyas, you will not gain enlightenment. You have to pass through the process of proper karma which purifies your mind. Just like a plane when it takes off, it taxis on the runway. It acquires a great speed. It uses the wheels and moves on the runway with tremendous speed. And when it acquires a particular speed, it just takes off. And once it takes off, it withdraws the wheels. The wheels are no longer required. The wheels are not required when the plane is up in the sky. But if it is down on earth, it requires the wheels. Similarly, in meditation, the wheels of karma and upasana are not required. But before we take off, we need karma and upasana. So the path of karma and upasana is also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, he writes कि तस्माद् गीता शास्त्रे ईशन मात्रेण अपि श्रौतेन स्मार्तेन वा कर्मणा आत्मज्ञानस्य समुच्चयो न केनचित् दर्शयितुं शक्यः. So with self-knowledge, there is no samuchya, there is no mixture, there is no association with karma. When a person gains self-knowledge, karma are not required. But till that time, one has to take support of karma. But after gaining self-knowledge also, we find that Mahatmas, they are engaged in actions. Even Bhagavan Sri Krishna himself is engaged in action. So their actions are not out of ignorance, but their actions is for the welfare of the whole world. That's called Loka Sangraha. Bhagavan says, Tasya karmani karma prayojane cha nivrutte api loka sangrahartam yatna purvam yatha pravruttah tatha eva karmani pravruttasya yat pravrutti rupam drishyate natat karma ena buddhehe samuchayah syat. After gaining self-knowledge, they don't have the sense of doership, they don't have attachment to the results of action. Their karma is like no karma itself. It is meant for the welfare of the whole world. Just like Bhagavan Krishna himself appears to perform all karma, but he is not really doing any karma. Because there is no identification with the body, there is no sense of doership. So, yatha bhagavato vasudevasya kshatra karma cheshtitam nat jnanena samucciyate purushartha siddhaye tadvat falabhisanjahankara abhavasya tulyatvat. So, there is no attachment to phala and there is no sense of doership. So, their action is no action. Because the self, one who has reached and gained that self-knowledge, there is no sense of doership and there is no attachment for action. Tattva vittu na aham karomi iti manyate na cha tat phalam abhisandhate. A self-realized person doesn't have this notion that I am doing. In one of the chapter in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan tells that though the actions are happening, the self-realized person knows that I am not doing anything. Naiva kinchit karomiti. Pashyan, Shrudvan, Sprishan, Jigran, Ashnan, Swapan, Shwashanapi. Different types of actions are happening, but he knows Naiva kinchit karomiti. So, we have to understand the teaching of Bhagavad Gita is Tasmat Gitasu Kevalat Eva Tattvat Jnanat Moksha Praptihi Na Karma Samuchiyat Na Karma Samuchitad Iti Nishchitaha Arthaha. That this moksha prapti is possible by tattva jnana, by atma jnana only, not by a combination of atma jnana and karma. They are steps. First follow the step of karma upasana and then gain that knowledge and gain abidance in that knowledge. That is the path. So this is revealed. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes कि तत्र एवं धर्म सम्मूढ़ चेतसः महति शोक सागरे निमग्नस्य अर्जुनस्य अन्यत्र आत्मज्ञानात् उद्धरणम् अपश्यन् भगवान् वासुदेवः ततः अर्जुनम् उद्दिधारयिषुः आत्मज्ञानाय अवतारयन् आह. So Bhagwan seeing Arjuna totally Bhagwan seeing Arjuna totally immersed in sorrow and totally confused, to remove him from this sorrow and confusion, Bhagwan knows that there is no other way than Atma-jnana. So in order to give him Atma-jnana, Atma-jnanat eva, by Atma-jnana alone that Uddharanam is possible. So in order to give that Atma-jnana, Bhagwan begins this teaching as Ashochan. So Bhagwan's teaching of Atma-jnana begins from the 11th verse of the 2nd chapter. And from here, first he talks about the self. Know who you are. That is the main thing. Understand who you are. Not what you are outwardly. See, nowadays also people wear different types of mask, face mask. And especially those who are working in the hospitals and all, they have to wear more and more things on their face and on their whole body in order to prevent this virus from entering and infecting them. So when they wear all these things on their body and face, it becomes difficult to recognize who this person is. In one of the country, they put their photograph also so that the patient knows who is this person who is treating him or her. So when we are wearing a mask, the person cannot recognize us. But we know ourselves. Like suppose you are acting in a Ramayana drama and you have to become a monkey or a bear or something, you will wear a mask. So people who are watching the drama will not know who you are because your whole face looks different. But within that face, with all the makeups and all the things which you are wearing, you know that you are a different person, you are a human being. Though you are wearing the mask of an animal, you know that you are a human being because you can separate yourself from your mask. But now, this body which we are having, gross physical body, and the mind which we are having, those are also like mask. We have to separate this mask from our real self. But we fail to separate this mask from ourselves, so there is a lot of misunderstanding. We assume ourselves to be the mask. We assume ourselves to be a human being. We assume ourselves to be Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. We assume ourselves to be a Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai. We assume ourselves to be an Indian, American and African and all. But those are the masks. Those are the nature of our mask. We have to comprehend who we are really within. What is the real nature of our own supreme self? So in order to give that knowledge of that self, Bhagwan begins this teaching from this 11th verse of 2nd chapter onwards. So Arjuna was grieving. So Bhagwan begins by telling him that don't grieve. There is no need to grieve. He says, Ashochananvashocastvam. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Ashochananvashocastvam Pradnyavadascha bhashase Gatasu nagatasuncha Nanushocanti panditaha. Bhagavan says, कि हे Arjuna, you are talking like a very wise person. Pradnyavadanscha bhashase. If you listen to Arjuna's speech in the first chapter, it appears as though he is such a wise person. He is talking about how the bad effect of karma, this war, and how it will affect the whole world. So it appears that he is such a wise person. But Bhagavan says, what you are saying, it appears like a wise person, but you are really not wise. Because you are grieving, simultaneously you are grieving for those for whom you should not grieve. He says, Ashochan anvashochastvam prajnavadanscha bhashase. Those who should not be grieved, ashocha, for them you are grieving. Because if you are really wise, then a wise person doesn't grieve for those who are alive and those who are dead. Gatasu na agatasuncha na anushocanti panditaha. See, when why do we grieve? Why do we grieve? Why Arjuna was grieving? He was grieving because he felt that I will be the cause for the death. If this war is fought, I will be the cause for the death of so many people. Not only the Adharmis, but also great people like Bhishma Pitamaha, Dronacharya. So I am the performer of this action, and because of this action, I will incur great sin and I will suffer because of that. Okay? That is one thing. Another is that so many people will die. They are born, they are living in this world, they will die. And it is possible that I might also die in this battlefield. I might get killed. So he was grieving for the death which might happen in future of all these people who are standing in front of him and his own death. But at the same time, he is speaking like a very wise person. So Bhagavan says they are ashocha. They are ashocha means you should not grieve. Why? There are two reasons for which we should not grieve. One is paramarthataha tu nityan ashochan anushocasi ataha modaha asiti abhiprayaha. He says that from the highest standpoint, all these people who are there, na shocha, ashocha, bhishma, dronadayaha, sadvrittatvat, paramartha rupena cha nityatvat. From the standpoint of the Supreme Truth, they are nitya, they are eternal. They cannot die. Therefore, from that standpoint, there is no need for you to grieve. And from the relative standpoint, they being good people, they being one who follows the path of dharma, there is no need to grieve for them. Because life and death is part of nature. So all those who are born, later on Bhagavan will say, all those who are born, they will have to die. Only different reasons and different ways one dies, but ultimately all those who are born, they will have to die. So we have to grieve we don't have to grieve for them also. Because each one of us, according to our own karma, we are born in this world, and according to our own karma we live, and according to our own karma we leave this world and go. So there is no need to grieve. If we understand the whole mechanism of this world, we will not grieve. So Bhagavan says, don't have to grieve for Bhishma Pitamaha, you don't have to grieve for Dronacharya, you don't have to grieve for anyone. Because from the highest standpoint, the Atma doesn't get killed. The Atma is Nitya. So you are grieving for whom? Whom are you grieving? Suppose a person is very much attached to a particular land and some structure comes there, that even when that structure is brought down, if it is destroyed, the land remains. The land is not destroyed. The space is not destroyed. So one need not grieve for the space. Similarly, Even when this gross body is destroyed, the Atma is not destroyed. Even when our Sukshma Sharir is destroyed, the Atma is not destroyed. Atma remains same. So since Atma is Nitya, there is no need for you to grieve. And since all these people, Bhishma and Drona and all, they are good people, you don't have to grieve for them, because this life is a journey. So even when they die, they will move forward in their journey. It's like a yatra. Just like when we are traveling, let us say, in a train, we have our own destination, we buy the ticket, we board our train, and we sit in the bogie, and then we also meet other people who are traveling with us. They have also bought their tickets, and we travel together. Sometimes we share our food also with them, we talk to them, we get attached to them, we spend some nice time with them. But when the time comes, when the station comes, when the time comes for them to leave the train, they just leave. We should not grieve for them. We should not go after them. We should not stop them from getting down. We should just allow them to go, because that is the journey which they have taken. They have already bought the ticket and they are going on their further journey. Similarly, this life is like a journey. All of us, we have bought our ticket. When we are born, we buy the ticket of our death also. Only the different ways a person seems to be living this world, but we are born and we die also. So Bhagavan tells Arjuna that just shift your standpoint. Because when you have to fight this war, because this is your dharma, but if you shift your standpoint, if you shift your vision, you will be able to deal with this situation properly. Just like, again, to give that same example, if the person is getting down from the train and your child has become attached to that person, we try to convince that child, don't grieve, don't go after that person, don't try to stop that person, let him get down. He is going to his home, he has got some work, he is going on his own journey, we will continue with our journey. Maybe some other time, in some other place, in some other train, we might meet or we might not meet, but let them go on their way and we should go on our way. So all of us who have come into this world, we are traveling, all of us are traveling. For a short time, we come together, we meet each other, we get attached to each other, we form relationships, like a family, brother, sister, and friend, and enemies and all, and then we just depart. Sometimes we depart early, sometimes others depart, and we go on our own way. And in our next life, sometimes we meet those people whom we have contacted in this life, or we may not meet. So this is how the life is. So a wise person looks at it in this holistic way and he doesn't grieve. He just does what has to be done. Na anushochanti panditaha. A pandit is one who is wise. Wise means one who has got self-knowledge. Shankaracharya ji writes कि पंडा आत्म विषया बुद्धि ही ईशाम ते ही पंडिताः. Panda means Atma Vishaya Buddhi. So one who has got Atma Vishaya Buddhi, one who has got self-knowledge is called Pandit. So such a Pandit who knows his self, he doesn't grieve. He doesn't grieve for those who are alive, he doesn't grieve for those who are dead. Because there is no need to grieve, because nothing is lost. Nothing is lost. In the supreme sense, nobody dies. And from a relative standpoint, everyone is on their journey. So your grieving will not stop them, and your non-grieving will not do anything. So just don't grieve. Let whatever happens, happens. You do what your karma is, and let whatever happens, let it happen. So just shift your standpoint. See, when we grieve, we come at the level of our mind. We grieve because of our intense attachment. We grieve because we don't want to lose someone or something. Or we grieve when we have lost someone. We feel that, oh, I have lost my relatives, my friends, my family members. I have lost them, they are dead, they are gone. But one who is grieving, that person is also on the way out only. So everyone is on the way out. So Bhagavan says, a wise person doesn't grieve, he just does what has to be done. Oh Arjuna, you are talking like a wise person, and grieving, it doesn't match, it doesn't go together. So Atma is Nitya, so don't have to grieve for this Nitya Atma. So how come this Atma is Nitya? How is it Nitya? What do we mean by it is Nitya? Nitya means eternal. What do we mean that Atma is eternal? Bhagavan tells in the next verse, a very beautiful verse, the 12th verse, he says, Natve vaham jatu nasam Natvam neme janadhipaha Nachaiva na bhavishyamaha Sarve vayamata param. Bhagavan says that, hey Arjuna, ki just listen, that nattu eva aham jatu na asam. There was never a time when I was not there. Hey Arjuna, you are looking at me? Yes. You feel that I was born, and one day I will leave this world. So I was not there, then I was born, then I will not be there. That is what you think about me. So Bhagavan says that there was never a time when I was not there. That means I was always there. Arjuna might say that, oh, you are someone special. Bhagavan says same thing applies to you also. So nattu eva aham jatu na asam natvam. There was never a time when you were not there. You were always there. You are always there. See, like we have a huge house, and many members stay in that house. There are so many rooms. So many of us we stay. So we come together in the dining hall to have our lunch or dinner. Then we go to the living room and we spend some time together. We go to our home theater and watch some movies together. Then we go to our respective bedrooms and there we go and sleep. So we travel from one room to another room. Sometimes we travel together, sometimes we travel alone. Suppose we are all sitting in the dining room or living room and having a nice time, laughing, smiling and all, and suddenly one person gets up and goes to his bedroom and goes to sleep. Other members, they don't sit there and start crying, oh, such a nice fellow, he is gone, he is dead, he is no more. We don't say like that because we know though he is not in this room, he is present in the other room. Though he is not spending his time here laughing and joking and all, but he is in the other room sleeping. But he is present, he is not non-existent, he is existent. Similarly, all of us, we are in this world, we are in the rooms only. When we leave this world, we go from this world to another world, but we are present. We are never absent. We have to leave this gross body, because this gross body we cannot carry to the other world. But our subtle body, our mind, our intellect, our ego, our memories, our senses, our pranas, we carry with us to the other world also. The gross physical body is left behind. So when we come back into this world, we take up another gross body, so we fail to recognize that person. Just like in a drama, if a person wears some mask, we don't recognize that person. He goes inside and he changes his dress, he wears another mask and comes, and we don't recognize that this is the same fellow who was acting like a king. The same fellow is now acting like a beggar. He has just changed his dress, he has changed his makeup. We don't recognize, but it is the same person. Similarly, we just take up a role in this world, we live for some time, we drop this body, go into another world, or come back into this world and take up another body, and this goes on and on. So I, the Atma, is never dead. It is always present. It never gets destroyed. Therefore Bhagavan says, I, the real Shri Krishna, the real self, was always present. There was never a time when I was absent. So natvevaham in the past means not only in this yuga, but in the Treta Yuga, in Satya Yuga, in all the years, right from the beginning of this cosmos, I was present. Even before the beginning of this cosmos, in the previous kalpa also, I was present. And I will be present in future also. See, just think about it. This is the fact. This is the fact of our own self, that our supreme self doesn't get destroyed. What gets destroyed in one life and another is our physical body. Even our subtle body doesn't get destroyed. Our mind is not destroyed. Our intellect is not destroyed. It changes form. It changes the samskar. We get more or less knowledge. We get new experiences. But we carry that same mind from one life form to another life form. Just like I gave the example of this mobile, when we want to change the instrument, we just remove our SIM card and put it in the new instrument. The SIM card carries the samskar of all the incoming, outgoing, whatever calls and whatever I have done. The SIM card carries the samskar. So previously I was using a small tiny little non-smartphone, and then I buy a smartphone and I remove that SIM card and put into that smartphone. Oh, I become a smart person now. But the SIM card remains same. So the SIM card is like the Sukshma Sharir, which travels from one mobile to another mobile, but it doesn't get destroyed. Similarly, and the person who is using that mobile is that Atma. He doesn't get destroyed. So Bhagavan says that there was never a time when I was absent, there was never a time when you were absent, and there was never a time when all these people, Bhishma Pitamaha, Dronacharya, Karna, Duryodhan, and Kripacharya, and all these your uncles and all these gurus and fathers and grandfathers who are, and children and all those who have assembled here, there was never a time when they were absent. They were always there. See, human being came on this earth some 2 million or 3 million years ago. Before that we were not there. Long time ago, our dinosaurs were there on this earth. They lived for a long time on earth. They were like the masters of this earth, and they had occupied the whole earth other creatures were tiny little in front of them. They ruled the earth for a long time, these dinosaurs. But one fine morning, one big meteor came and fell on earth and disrupted the whole the weather of this earth, and it destroyed all these dinosaurs. They died. Slowly, after many years, human beings got evolved and they occupied this earth, and now we have occupied this earth. We are like the masters of this earth. Later on some other creatures might come. But the same that Atma travels from one body to another body. So when those dinosaurs were there, we might be there in the form of those dinosaurs. You and I might be dinosaurs running around. So we just change bodies, physical bodies. But the Atma is Nitya. So there was never a time when we were absent. In the same way, na chaiva na bhavishyamaha. Nor are we absent now, nor will we be absent in the future. There is no non-existence for the self. The self cannot become non-existent. Body can change. Body, you cannot stop the body from changing. You cannot stop the mind from changing. Whether you laugh or smile or grieve or cry or jump, the body will change, the mind will change. You cannot prevent the body from dying. You cannot prevent the mind from changing. But nobody can destroy the Atma. Atma is my real self. As I said, this body, mind and all are like my mobile. But the one who is using that mobile am I, the Atma. So even when the mobile gets destroyed, even when the SIM card is thrown away, even when it is discarded, I remain alive. I don't get affected. Similarly, Atma is not affected by the changes happening in the body, the mind. So na chaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamata param. So all this, not only all of us were present in the past, we are present now, and all of us will be there in future also. Bhavishyamaha. Tatha na chaiva na bhavishyamaha kintu bhavishyamaha eva. Sarve vayam ataha asmat deha vinashat param uttar kale api trishu api kaleshu nitya atmaswarupena iti artha. That even after the body gets destroyed, we will remain in our own real self, indestructible. Deha bhedanuvritya bahuvachanam na atma bheda bhiprayena. And here Bhagavan talks about Atma as though in plural, that I am there, you are there, everyone is there. But really speaking, this difference is only with respect to body, but otherwise that Atma is one only. Just like the space is one. In your house you say living room, drawing room, kitchen and bedroom and all, but otherwise these are all names given to space. And how many space are there? Space is only one. It appears to be divided by the rooms, it appears to be divided by the walls, but the space is one. Similarly, Atma appears to be divided by bodies, by the gross body, by the subtle body, but otherwise Atma is one, and Atma is indestructible, and that Atma am I. When I say I mean Atma. When I say I don't mean the ahankar. Just like in our mobile, we have our number. That number which we have is like part of that system only. That number, our special number, phone number, is like ahankar. But I am not my phone number. But somebody wants to contact me, they should know that phone number. because they are contacting me through my mobile. But I am not my phone number. I am not my mobile. I am not the battery. I am not the SIM card. I am totally different. Whatever happens to the mobile and all, it doesn't happen to me. Similarly, Atma is different from Ahankar. Atma is different from the mind, the intellect, the body. Atma is Nitya. So this is a very beautiful thing which is said here. And more about this Atma we will see in our class tomorrow. See, if you after listening to me or while listening to me, you may have some questions in your mind. You can write those questions in the comment. I will read them and answer them whenever possible during my class. Also, if you have any other comments or if you want to express something, you can write in the comments. That will be nice, because now I don't have anyone in front of me. I have empty chairs in front of me. I will show you. Nobody is sitting. So I am just like speaking to myself. Luckily, I know that you are there online. Many people are there and you are listening, hopefully. But as far as I am concerned, I am just talking to myself alone. And from the supreme standpoint also, that is true. I am talking to myself because all of us are one only. The self in me and the self in all of you is same. So the Atma in me is talking to Atma in you only. It's the same. So more about this we will see in our class tomorrow. Till then, stay safe, stay home, take care, be happy. Okay? Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Boliye Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.